It's Heels on Wheels, the racing show by female racers, for female racers, about female racers, featuring female racers, with a few surprises thrown in. Heels on Wheels is brought to you by Renew Salon and Spa, Excelsior Racing, and Dragonflies and Nymphs Creation. And now, here are your hosts, Krista Elise, Taylor Hyatt, Jean Kinzer-Dana, Stacy Grammer, and Emily Gotti.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on the Heels on Wheels radio program, brought to you by the Performance Motorsports Network. We're back from our 2-week spring break, refreshed, better than ever, and ready to roll. Krista, you've been up to some pretty exciting things these last couple of weeks. We've been off with car shows and all kinds of stuff.
God.
I mean,
I've been involved in a couple of charity car shows. We're getting involved with the big 50th Mustang anniversary celebration going on this weekend. The Mustang turns 50 years old, so I see that the Camaro and Chevy also wished them a happy birthday. So good sportsmanship.
Exactly.
But other than that, I mean, the one thing I want to say real quick that I have discovered this past week is they re-released the Shirley Muldowney movie, Heart Like a Wheel. And I am blown away. I've never seen it before. I've known her story as a drag racer, and I highly recommend, it's a movie from 1983. But,
wow.
If you're anybody in drag racing or you want to be a drag racer, especially as a woman coming up in this industry, please watch it.
Awesome. Well, Diana is here with us as well. She's not feeling so great, so she's going to be relaying messages to us through Skype tonight, but she won't actually be talking because she lost her voice. So we're happy to have her on with us. She just won't be talking. So let's get right into our guest lineup for tonight. We have car chief for Turner Scott Motorsports, Ashley Parlett. And literally the man has done it all in TV and radio, as well as being an ex-pro wrestler and now an author. Brett Big Schwag Wagner. I mean, I can't believe we have him on the show. I'm super excited. No, he's not a girl, but hey, get over it. It'll be fine.
You know what? I had the pleasure of meeting him in person at the show that I worked, the Northeast Car Show, which he'll be back at next year, which is really exciting. And he has so much experience with women in the industry, knowing who's up and coming. And I mean, not only motorsports, but, motorcycles and everything. So that'll be really cool.
It's going to be awesome. And I saw him there at the car show, didn't get to talk to him, was really disappointed, but I'm sure I'll get to see him next year. And, we'll be closer now that we've been on the radio together. But of course, we have Katie P back with us with more from Beauty's Got Muscle and another great grillin' recipe from Tailgate Grillin' with Sizzling Scotty. Also, stick around for our racing roundtable, where we're going to be talking about if race car drivers should really be considered athletes. And we're fired up about this one. So let's go ahead and get this show started, put those heels in drive, and get this show on the road. Krista, let's talk racing news. I mean, there's a ton of stuff going on. And you mentioned the 50-year anniversary of the Mustang, which the Need for Speed car, which is in that new movie, sold for $300,000 at the Barrett-Jackson collector car auction in Palm Beach. I mean, that is outrageous.
That doesn't surprise me. It's iconic for the newer generation. Need for Speed, ever since it came out as a video game, you're relating to a whole new fan base, and I think people know that. Just like people were talking about how, these Fast and Furious little Hot Wheels cars that you've been collecting are now skyrocketing in value because of the newer generation of motorsports enthusiasts.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But, I mean, you also mentioned it's the 50th anniversary of the Ford Mustang. They're doing a lot of stuff this week. Do you know anything else about that, Krista?
So they're doing a couple things. There's events all across the country. I know there's one in Charlotte, which is the huge one out here on the East Coast, in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's one in Vegas, and then I believe there's one in the middle, Midwest, the country somewhere. But what's going to happen is, for example, out here, you're going to get to drive around the speedway down there, and, they estimate a record number of cars. I mean, you have people who are coming from all over. They have, special events. If you look it up if you Google the 50th anniversary, it's the first thing that comes up. But you know, a lot of companies as well as Ford are getting involved for, once in a lifetime opportunities that you will probably not be able to experience again.
I'm really looking forward just reading everything that comes out of this. It's going to be pretty awesome, and seeing all the pictures. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of stuff out. I want to talk about they're changing the qualifying for the Indy 500 this year and allowing positions 31, 32, and 33 and the rest of the cars that didn't qualify to have a second chance to qualify. So even though you have those last three places, that doesn't mean you're actually going to get to stay there for the race. You have to go through a second qualifying to even get a chance. I mean, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
Why would you get a second chance to qualify? I mean, in professional racing, if you don't do it once, no offense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it either. Also, okay, there's at least 5 Formula One drivers from last year that are threatening to strike because they haven't been paid their wages from last season. I mean, I thought Formula One was doing fairly well. I don't understand why they're not getting paid.
Striking, having hissy fits. Yeah, no, my experience with Formula One last year was that their fan base was growing. I'm sure there's more to that story that we are not hearing, as always. Drivers and teams have a sketchy relationship sometimes, and I wouldn't believe everything that you hear in the media.
All right, well, I want to go over a couple of point standings before we leave here today from the racing news. NASCAR Sprint Cup, Danica Patrick in 29th currently. Truck Series, Jennifer Jo Cobb is in 15th. Good for them. They're doing it. They're not front runners, but they're in it and they're sticking with it. NHRA Top Fuel, Brittany Force is currently 8th. Funny Car, Alexis DeJoria is 3rd, which is awesome. Courtney Force, 8th. And Pro Stock, Erica Enders Stevens is 1st in her series. I mean, that is, to be a woman in NHRA and 1st is just amazing.
I'm a huge proponent of Erica Enders because she doesn't get the publicity that she should.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a good thing.
World Rallycross, Supercars, Sarah Burgess, 17th. Junior World Rallycross, Molly Taylor is 8th currently, which in Rallycross is amazing. Also, USAC Silver Crown, Taylor Ferns is currently 19th in the Silver Crown. She races in a couple of other series too, and she's doing well in those. So if you're interested in that, check out USAC Unleashed on the Performance Motorsports Network for more about USAC racing and all of their drivers. This week there's not too much racing with Easter coming up. Formula One is in China. NASCAR is off this week, but next weekend is NASCAR at Richmond. So it's a night race Saturday the 26th, 7 p.m. on Fox. I'll spit it out here eventually. And
NHRA runs again April 25th through 27th.
And they're in Houston that week because I was supposed to be there and won't. I'm pretty disappointed. And Pirelli World Challenge and IndyCar will be at Barber Motorsports Park. So not too much going on this weekend. A lot next weekend. Check that out. Watch it on TV. I mean, most of it's public on television. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to look out for. So, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for racing news, but let's go see what Scotty's got cooking on the grill.
Thanks, Taylor. Yes, this is Sizzling Scotty with another great tailgating recipe. Always trying to look for something different. We've done so many great recipes over the course of the years, and, we always try to find something that's handheld and something that's, easy to eat, not too messy, but really brings the flavor. So today we've got basically, what we're going to do is we're going to take mini muffin tins, and we're going to put chili inside of them. And these are chili biscuits. And we'll jump right into this recipe. And this is a really easy recipe that you can prepare half of it or all of it at home, and then put it together right at the tailgate. All right, here's the ingredients list. We're going to run that right down. We're going to need some vegetable oil cooking spray. We're going to need 2 cups of biscuit baking mix, and that I would recommend some Bisquick here. 2/3 a cup of whole milk, teaspoon of cayenne pepper. We're going to use some flour for dusting our work surface. 1 pound of ground beef, 1 medium onion chopped up, 1 medium green pepper chopped up, 1 jalapeno chopped up. We're going to use 2 14-ounce cans of Mexican-style stewed tomatoes. we're going to use 1 can of kidney beans, and these can be darker light kidney beans, or if you want to use black beans, it really doesn't matter, whatever chili bean you prefer. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of your favorite chili powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. So we're going to get right into the recipe here. We're going to start out by preheating the oven at 450 degrees, and we're going to invert a muffin tin and spray the upside down side with vegetable oil. And next, we're going to get our biscuit mix together. We're going to stir together the biscuit mix, the milk, and the cayenne, and we're going to shape it into a ball. Turn it out into the floured surface, and knead it 3 or 4 times. You don't want to knead it too much because you don't want that to become too tough. Divide the ball into 6 pieces, and roll each piece into a 6-inch circle. And then place that dough over the back of the muffin cup and press it firmly around the cup so that you've got a bowl. You're going to bake those for about 10 to 12 minutes until lightly browned. Let those cool slightly, and then remove the bowls and reserve. And then you're going to do this for as many times as you need to do to get the proper amount of cups that you want to serve at your tailgate. Now we're going to get into this really easy, simple chili recipe. We're going to take the ground beef and we're going to brown it over medium-high heat in a pot, Dutch oven, whichever you prefer. We're going to add the chopped onion, the chopped green pepper, and the jalapeno, and we're going to continue to cook until the meat is completely browned and the vegetables are tender. Now here's a little tip that I like to add. It's not on the ingredients list, but I like to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in there, and that'll give it a little extra flavor. Drain off any fat you've got and discard that. Stir in the tomatoes, the beans, your chili powder, your salt and pepper, and bring that mixture to a boil and cover. Reduce the heat to low and simmer for about 35 minutes. You can stick that in the fridge. You've got your cups, and then it's off to the tailgate. And when you get to the tailgate, you're going to warm the chili up on your grill, and you've got those reserved biscuit muffin cups. And when you're ready to go, just spoon a little bit of that chili into the biscuit bowls. Then you can garnish that with some shredded cheese, some sour cream, some sliced green onions, or even some crunched up tortilla chips. And the nice thing about this recipe, again, is that it's handheld. It brings those flavors all together really nice. And the nice thing about it is you can really play around with the chili recipe to really suit your needs and to suit what your tastes are and the taste of your group are. I'd like to serve this with a nice ice-cold beer of your choice. So again, this is Sizzling Scotty for Heels on Wheels. You can find all of our recipes on my Facebook page, which is Tailgate Grillin' with Sizzling Scotty, or the Heels on Wheels Facebook page. Give us a like or drop us a comment and let us know what you'd like to hear about on a future show. Again, this is Sizzling Scotty from the Tailgate.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
If you're a gearhead, you probably go online to those hot rod superstores, drooling over the chrome and speed goodies until you find just the right item for your muscle car, tuner car, truck. But what do you do when it comes to fixing the mom mobile? If you're like most do-it-yourselfers, you head to the strip mall parts store and talk to the "Do you want fries with that?" kid behind the counter. Hold on, Bunky. Did you stop to think where those chain stores are getting the parts that you're installing in the vehicle that's used to transport your family everywhere? They get the cheapest suppliers they can find to sell you the parts at bargain prices. Their limited lifetime warranties? What a joke. Remember the last time Mom's car broke down? You heard about that one for weeks. Don't take that chance again. Excelsior Racing has the quality parts you need for your family vehicle. Parts that you can install knowing you're getting the best for your family. Excelsior Racing. Quality parts, personalized service, affordable pricing, fast to you direct. Excelsior Racing. Online at excelsiorracing.com or call 502-909-2034.
All I want Hi, this is Sugarland here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. Music is one of the most important things in our lives, but nothing is more important than life itself. Music lives, and so should you. Please plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate.
Friends don't let friends
Drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Heels on Wheels exclusively on the PerformanceMotorsportsNetwork.com. Now back to the fastest women on the planet.
You know, Krista, I'm not a huge chili fan, but I mean, I'll go for a good cold beer any day, right?
Amen. Mm-hmm.
All right, our first guest is on the phone with us, and she is the car chief for Turner Scott Motorsports, Ashley Parlett. And I just have to say, I'm honored to have you on the show. You're doing some amazing things and in the industry itself, but I'll let you explain the rest. So, hi, Ashley, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I couldn't quite make out what you said. I don't know if you said I was a crew chief or... Right now, I'm just a general suspension mechanic for the truck team, the 31 truck team right now. But yeah, for Turner Scott Motorsports, it's a great organization. We're having a lot of fun. Our driver, Ben Kennedy's been running really well and just living the dream every day.
I mean, that's awesome. You don't see a lot of girls working on the cars in these big series like you're doing. Tell us how you got started in motorsports.
Well, I grew up racing. I raced myself. I raced sprint cars, and everything I ever raced I had to build in order to go racing. You know, we didn't have a ton of money, so, you know, it started out just building the cars, and eventually I got an apprenticeship with an engine builder and built my own motors. And once I decided I wanted to make a career out of it, I really had a better future as a mechanic than I did as a driver, so I focused a lot more on my career as being a mechanic and moved to Charlotte and been here about 10 years now. So it's been a long road, and a few times I had to change my focus of what I was set out to do, but it's all paying off and having a lot of fun doing it.
You know, Ashley, I read something in one of your online interviews that says that, you know, you wish you would have potentially gotten an engineering degree that could have helped you as a NASCAR mechanic. Why is that these days?
Yes, absolutely. Just mostly because every day NASCAR is growing in technology more and more. And so it's really going to be hard in the future for mechanics to just go from being just a weekend mechanic to all of a sudden being a crew chief like they did in the old days. I think it's still absolutely possible. You know, there's a lot of guys that are really good crew chiefs that have moved straight in to being a crew chief from being, you know, a suspension mechanic or a car chief. But nowadays, a lot of those guys are being picked up from the engineering, you know, shop. And it's great, and I think I can do both, but I really wish I just had that little bit of extra knowledge to help carry me further and actually get some more opportunities, because there's a lot of things that I would have learned in college and had gotten a degree that it's just taken a little bit longer for me to learn as a mechanic.
So, Ashley, walk us through a normal weekend at the racetrack. I mean, walk us through what you do every weekend.
Well, my day-to-day job is building front suspension and rear suspension at the shop for most all of the trucks. I'm not really set on one particular truck. They just give me build sheets for our different teams, and I build suspension all day. And then once we load up and go to the racetrack, help get the truck through tech, just like every other mechanic. We roll through tech, get that done, and get ready for practice. And during practice, I am a rear end mechanic, basically underneath. Anything needs to be done underneath the rear end of the truck is where I live. In NASCAR, each corner basically has a guy. They have a left rear guy, a right rear guy, and two front end guys. And anytime a change needs to be made or gear, any of that stuff, one of those people is usually the person in charge of making sure that happens. And it's a really good way to keep track of, responsibilities and where you're supposed to be at any given time. So my position is left rear and underneath, and so if anything needs to be done in those areas, that's my job throughout practice. When we go out to qualify, I basically, help get the car ready to go race, and we send it out to qualify, and when it's race time, I basically wave the sign and catch tires and hope we don't wreck, because the only time I go over the wall is if something's torn up or something's broken, and I go over just to fix. I don't change tires anymore, and I don't carry tires, none of that. It was too hard to focus on both, so I've chosen to focus on my career as a mechanic, and so that's my weekend in a nutshell.
So I guess my question is, you're standing by at every race, and I'm sure, when they bump each other or something always has to be modified in the suspension. How stressful is that to work real time during a race?
It's not too stressful on my end, just because I feel like I've been doing it so long that everything has slowed down so much, especially like changes during practice and things like that. I used to, when I first started doing this, getting, you get really antsy because you want to make a swift change, you want to do it correctly, but as time goes on, things slow down, you get used to it, you make better moves, and everything just slowly starts to come to you. And I really don't get too anxious about it, and it's really not too stressful. It's most stressful when we run into any kind of problem. If all of a sudden we're going along our checklist for the weekend and we've tried this and we've tried that and we're gaining speed, and then we have a motor issue or a gear issue or something go wrong, that's when things get really hectic, and that's when I think everybody gets a little bit more pressure on, a little bit more spun out, because not only do you have this issue you're battling, but now you have to make sure that everything you were doing before that is finished, and I's are dotted, T's are crossed to make sure that you fix the problem. All the other loose ends guys were working is all tightened up and ready to go, and so that's pretty much the stressful part.
We're all about women on this show, and more women are becoming mechanics and going into the racing industry. Do you see more women on your end coming in, being mechanics for bigger teams, and do you ever think there could be a full pit crew of just women?
I see more female engineers. I see a lot more female engineers than I see mechanics. I don't honestly see too many more mechanics now than I did, say, 4 or 5 years ago on my end. I think one day you'll see a lot more women. Do I think it'll be like a full roster of females? I don't know if there's that many that really want to do it bad enough to stick with it. I think a lot of times this career, the path I've chosen, the really dirty path, that's not necessarily as clean and, nicely put together as being, say, an engineer, it's not as glamorous. So I don't know how many women would actually get into the field, the part that I'm in, and actually enjoy it enough to stick with it for a long time. But it's all over motorsports. There's a ton of women. I follow a lot of, world rally racing and Formula One, NHRA, and there's women mechanics all over the place. I really feel like NASCAR is one of the few that doesn't have quite as many female mechanics, but you look throughout NHRA and F1 and sports car racing, there's female mechanics all over the place.
It's funny you mentioned that, because in NHRA right now, women are owning the field, yet they don't, but in NASCAR, it seems like maybe the mechanics are owning the field. But I guess my question would be, why do you think that there is not as strong of a draw into mechanic or, hands-on end?
Just because, like I said, they're smarter than me, maybe. They've chosen to use their brains and stay a lot cleaner. The side as a mechanic is, I don't think it's harder to get into. I just don't know that it's all that glamorous. And it's a lot of hard work. I love it simply because it's all I've ever known. I love building race cars. That's as simple as that. There's a lot of ways to climb up the ladder professionally in NASCAR and not really have to go that route. It's actually I think it's the longer route, to be honest with you, and I think there's a lot of girls that are smart to that, are putting their brains to work, and, I don't think by any means that they're afraid to get their hands dirty, but there's just a new avenue there of getting your engineering degree and spending a lot more time on the setup plate as opposed to spending a lot more time putting a gear in. So
what kind of fitness training and exercise do you have to do to be in shape to be able to carry the tires, do all this stuff that you're doing to the cars?
Well, I personally, I used to never work out. I used to never worry about any of that, and it became a big thing for me over the past 6 or 7 years to not only just lift weights, but my cardio and being able to keep up and be able to stay focused on our day, because I actually found that I worried a lot more at night. I'd lay in bed and worry about, okay, did I get that tight? Did I make sure that was right? Did I make sure that was tight? And I found the more I was in better physical condition, the clearer my mind was when I was working on the cars, especially at the track. And not only that, but when you're naturally strong, you don't really question whether or not a bolt is tight. But when you're not strong as the guys and you struggle a little bit, you actually have to make a really conscious effort to constantly make sure everything is tight. So lifting weights is a really big thing for me, just for the peace of mind of knowing that I get stuff tight, but also I don't ever like to go to the guys and ask them for help with something. And that's not an egotistical thing. That's me wanting to not be a weight on the team, but to be an asset to the team. Because if I'm pulling somebody away from something to come loosen up a bolt because somebody else tightened it and I can't get it free, I become a burden to the team. So,
all right.
So I definitely lift a lot of weights and work out a lot, running mostly. So.
All right. Well, we are almost out of time here. There's so much more we could talk about, but I want to give you time to mention any sponsors and where our listeners can find you on social media.
And second, to just mention the CTF, which is the Children's Tumor Foundation, that I'm extremely passionate about. Feel free to look it up, but it's a foundation searching for a cure for neurofibromatosis, which is tumors that attack the nervous system of young children. And feel free to look me up on Twitter, just AP. It's just_AP. So.
All right. Well, it's been great talking with you, and we're going to keep watching out for you this season and catch back up with you soon, I hope.
Appreciate it.
This has been Taylor Hyatt and Krista Elise for Heels on Wheels radio program on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Shopping around for your racing gear, driving from store to store only to find they don't have what you want? Varner's Racing Collectibles on Black Gap Road in Fayetteville, Pennsylvania has it all. The hottest NASCAR, IRL, and NHRA diecasts, t-shirts, jackets, flags, and more. Everything racing. Stop by or check out their website, www.farnersracing.com, or call 717-352-2782. You'll be surprised at the selection, prices, and friendly client service. UPS, FedEx, and USPS shipping available. Farners Racing Collectibles, www.farnersracing.com, or call 717-352-2787. Farners Racing Collectibles, where racing comes alive.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
Ever hire, never quit. Lofty goals in this age of shoddy quality, corporate indifference, and built-in obsolescence. It's a beacon of light in a crowded field of mediocrity. The way a company is run is an indication of how you, the customer, is going to be treated. You have a lot of choices when you're searching for auto and performance parts online and at the corner parts store. So why should you buy from Excelsior Racing? Because they're simply the best online parts supplier in the business. If you're looking for selection, ease of ordering, cost, and prompt delivery, look no further. If you have a question, our customer service hotline, staffed by knowledgeable gearheads like you, will ensure that you get what you need to fix or mod your car or truck. With 1,000 suppliers, you're guaranteed to get what you need. First time, every time. Excelsior Racing. Excellence on the track. Excellence on the road. Excellence in customer service. Online at excelsiorracing.com or call 502-909-2034.
You got it locked to Heels on Wheels, the Performance Motorsports Network.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group. Now back to the women wearing the driver's suits.
All right, we're back with the Heels on Wheels radio program on the Performance Motorsports Network. I'm really excited about our next guest, and you know, it's not very often we have a guy on the show. We're not going to make him wear a tutu or heels, but...
No, we're saving that for Dan.
But it's great to have him on the show. Krista, I'm going to let you take it from here. He's a friend of yours. You got to meet him. Go ahead.
You know what, everybody? We have Brett Wagner on the phone this week on Heels on Wheels. And, you know, the reason I'm very excited is not only has he made a really great career for himself, but he also gives back enormously to his community. And we're going to talk about one of the things that is upcoming with a local technical college. Hi, Brett. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for being on the show with us this week. You know, it's obvious that most of our listeners know who you are. I mean, you know, between Monster Garage, between, you know, one of my favorite shows of all time, Pastime, as a drag racer, you know, you've really been heavily involved in the motorsports industry. And the reason that I really wanted to talk to you this week is because of what I found out at the Northeast show a couple weeks ago. The project that you're doing with the community college. And, I mean, what can you tell us about that? That is amazing. And what got you interested in getting involved?
Yeah, the North Monco Technical School out in Pennsylvania. I was, Brian Lutz, who runs the Northeast Custom Car Show, which we all met at, asked me to talk to the kids that were at the school. They made the trophies for some of the classes and awards for the show. And I just told the kids how lucky they were that didn't matter whether they were learning to do body work or mechanic or, you know, motor work or transmission work or wiring. I said, I wish that when I was younger, I would have learned to do something like that, because it would have, instead of being, you know, struggling to be an actor or host TV shows or sell TV shows, at least I would have something to fall back on, which I love. And the teacher, Bob Hunter, was like, wow, if we can ever do something for you. And I said, well, I'd sure love to work with the kids, and maybe we could do a drag car build together. And Mark Rubright from Rubright Racing actually went to their sister school in Pennsylvania, you know, many years ago. He said, I got a car to donate, a 90 GT Mustang. So we kind of got going, and the car goes in to the body shop the next week at the school to get going, and now we're going to do a build with all the students at the school in Mark, which is pretty cool. And next year, this time, we'll unveil the car at the next Northeast Auto Custom Show. So,
now,
excited.
do you have any females that you know of that are assisting on this build?
Well, I mean, I know a lot of female drag racers, and I know from working on Monster Garage, I know a lot of women who build their own cars and muscle cars and show cars or rat rods. It's a pretty big deal nowadays. I mean, it's not just, you know, maybe 25 years ago when you wouldn't see any women working on their cars. It's pretty universal now. A lot of women are working on their own cars and wrenching their own cars and drag racing their cars, or like yourself, have a nice car to drag race out there and show off. So it's a cool thing.
What do you think the biggest challenge is lately, you know, from what you've experienced with women in motorsports?
Well, I think, you know, it's like before it was probably a closed door. I think a lot of the old-time builders and people that build cars or even show cars just for a show car at a car show or something, they didn't like having the women in thinking, well, they didn't build that car, or they didn't do anything with that car, they just bought it. But I think that was always the old school thought and mentality. But even when we were doing, I gotta apologize to you. I'm on Venice Beach with the wife walking down the beach, so we're walking and talking. But so if you hear any music in the background, that's what we're doing. But on Monster Garage, we had a couple all-girl builds where, you know, and we're talking 15 years ago. So it got the showcase that girls, you know, can build a car just as well as a guy can, and it's probably always been that way. But it's just that now the public and the TV and everybody else is more willing to show that, and you know, there's no reason. And plus, in a lot of these technical schools or automotive classes in schools, you'll see women in there. So it's a cool thing. And I think that the doors are being broken down left and right, and the more drag racers and the more people you see at car shows, women with their cars, it just helps.
So I want to talk about you for a second. You know, you've been on reality TV, you've been the host, you've been in sitcoms. I mean, you wrote a book. What is your favorite part of what you do? What have you gotten out of being in this crazy lifestyle that you have?
Well, I mean, look, when I was a young kid, I wanted to be an actor. So, but I always, you know, I was a big kid, so I did a lot of bodyguard work and worked all the clubs and bars in Hollywood. So I started acting at a very young age and really didn't understand the business or get work until I got into my 30s. I did a little stint of 5 years of being a pro wrestler and being a pro wrestling manager for the minor leagues for the WWF. And that actually really helped me in the acting world. And then I just started getting more work and got on Monster Garage as the voice with Jesse James and the fill-in host, and just kept working and hustling because, you know, throwing people out of bars is it's not the end-all be-all job, and you just have to keep working at it. And when I got on Monster Garage, I started traveling around to car shows. So when I would travel to car shows, you know, people would be, you know, excited to see me, and I was like, well, this is pretty cool. So I just kept hustling and kept working and kept getting people to see me out on town. And a lot of other people that are on TV, they don't go out and they don't go meet the public, and they don't go to the car shows. They don't go to the bike shows. They don't do stuff like that. And, you know, I travel 15, 20 times a year to shows, and it keeps you in the mind of the folks. And, you know, you sign every picture. I don't charge for pictures. A lot of big-time people that are on TV and making the big money still go charge for pictures, which I think is silly because those people that are there to see you have already bought your product or they're watching your TV show. So it just, you know, it helps, and you just keep hustling and keep reinventing yourself. You know, I went from the motorcycle world to the drag racing world, and now I try to sell shows and keep acting, and you just got to keep reinventing yourself until something sticks, and when that time is up, you do the next thing.
For women that want to get into the industry and do some of the things that you've been able to do, what advice do you have for them?
If you are going to be, as we said, it's starting to get easier as far as cars and drag racing and everything with the women, but I mean, you just got to do it. There's no excuses. You're going to build something, find out what car shows are in the area, go show your car off. You know, never take no for an answer. It's the same thing I do. Doors are shut on me all the time when people don't, you know, listen to me when I'm trying to sell a TV show, and sometimes it takes, you know, 500 no's for someone to say, I'll come listen to you. Yeah, come on in. It's the same with a female builder or a female racer. But with the likes of Erica Enders and other folks that are racing and now that are women that are doing very well in the business, I think those doors have been opened. Now it just takes the next generation to kick them through and kick them open, so there's never ever an issue again. And I think we're getting close to that. And the more women that are in the business, like your co-host there and everything else, it's great for the business, and it's good for women. So
That's a really good point. Don't take no for an answer. You never succeed if you stop at the first no. I can't even tell you. I mean, even today, I posted something after watching that Shirley Muldowney story, and I was like, I'm going to get my NHRA license in the next couple of years, and these guys are like, no. But, the question that I have for you, Brett, is are we going to get to see you and your wife race against each other after that car is done?
Well, my woman, who's rocking right next to me, she's had a few of us. She's more into the Fast and Furious cars. She likes stuff like that. So, and she's had a few cars like that, but she likes the motorcycles. She wants to get a Harley and start cruising on that. And I like to go fast in a straight line. So we shall see. I'm not opposed to her. She's very smart, so I'm not opposed to her getting a drag car. But maybe we'll try to do an all-female build, and we'll get her a car done. And you never know. I mean, there's plenty. Like I said, there's plenty of women turning wrenches out there. There's plenty of women in the drag racing world that can build a car, so you never know.
Well, if you make that happen, you let us know for sure. Can you
absolutely?
Can you tell our listeners where they can find you on social media?
I'm all over the place. You can go to brettwagner.org, which is my main website. You can go to Brett Wagner on Facebook, or you can go to the Big Schwag, my alter ego. BIGSCHWAG on that's on Facebook as well, and very easy to get a hold of. Like I said, I travel and tour around the country a lot, and I'm in Pennsylvania a lot, which is great. I've never been to Pennsylvania till this year, but getting to do 2 shows. Also doing the Motorama in Harrisburg. How cool is it that people don't realize how many car fanatics are out that way, and some beautiful drag racing. In fact, I'll be up at Maple Grove in July, I think, second weekend in July for Super Chevy show, so I'm pretty excited to get back out there.
Pennsylvania and Maryland, I mean, especially moving down here, growing up in Jersey, have some of the most recognized cars in the scene right now.
It's unbelievable. I mean, people think of, okay, you got you guys in New York, you got the West Coast, of course, and then I knew there was people in Pennsylvania and Maryland. Of course, they had cars, but until you get out there and you go to one of these car shows and you see the amount and the beautiful time and effort these people put in their cars is amazing. The show I mentioned that I've never seen so many. There was cars there that could win at any car show in America, let alone across seas. Beautiful cars.
I'm just glad he said better things come out of Pennsylvania other than dirt track cars. I'm really excited to hear that.
I'm telling you, I was surprised. It's just my, being naive, I guess, because I never have been through there except for in an airport. But the cars were just beautiful, and like I said, I'm real excited to be teaming up with the Tech School and Mark Rubright who built some, beautiful drag racing cars themselves. So it's going to be exciting. I'm excited, and then maybe we can have a little race there. I know you drive a Mustang, so I'm ready.
Yeah, my first track rental was actually on Friday, testing my new setup, so I might be dealing with some 10s there. You might be a little faster, though.
Well, we'll see what happens, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been down the track, but I'm ready for the challenge.
All right, you're on.
If I lose, I'll wear high heels for a day.
Awesome. We have to make this happen, Krista. All right. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. But, I mean, we've had a blast talking with you, Brett, and we're definitely going to keep track of what you're doing. This has been the Ladies of Heels on Wheels on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome to Blacktop Boot Camp's Beltway Survival Minute, where we teach you how to survive the mean streets of the D.C. metro area. We've already had our first taste of winter, and the body shops are overflowing with cars whose drivers ran out of talent and crashed. 99% of the drivers out there overestimate their driving ability, but we're going to try to help you become a better driver. While today's cars have outstanding features like anti-lock brakes and active handling systems, there's only so much that these systems can do to compensate for driver error. In fact, in snow, sand, gravel, and mud, ABS actually increases your stopping distance by 3 times or more. So an average car that normally stops from 60 miles an hour and 140 feet will take 420 feet to stop in the snow with ABS. So when snow starts piling up on the road, you need to increase your following distance to accommodate for this reduction in braking ability. Cheaper than your insurance deductible, the fun, hands-on driving arts classes at Blacktop Boot Camp teach skid control in our skid car, accident avoidance maneuvers, and more. For information on our corporate and team driving courses, please visit www.blacktopbootcamp.com. That's www.blacktopbootcamp.
Hi, I'm Mickey for Bed Bug Detection Services. Bed Bug Detection Services rescues dogs from the Humane Society and the SPCA, then trains them at the Florida Canine Academy. We then pair them up with a handler where they will spend the rest of their lives in a happy family home working in the community. We want to rescue our second dog, but we cannot do it without your help. We are fundraising to bring home our next canine. Please go to bbds.us, that's bbds.us, and do your part in helping us rescue another dog. bbds.us will give life, home, and a meaning to another dog. bbds.us. With every donation, you will receive a signed postcard from our current bed bug detection dog rescue, Lily. Go to bbds.us. And thank you.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
You got it locked to Heels on Wheels, the PerformanceMotorsportNetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group. Now back to the women wearing the driver's helmets.
Hey guys, you are listening to Katie from Beauty's Got Muscle. So this week I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about new cars versus old cars. And the reason I bring this up is because recently in my house, we have a Chevy Suburban that has been the family car for a long time, a 2003. And the fuel pump went on it recently. And to replace it, my dad and myself, we were dropping down the gas tank to get to it. And we realized that the setup on a lot of the newer cars is just ridiculous. It's not work-on friendly, and I started to equate that to be relationships that we have and we form between us and our vehicles. With older cars, it's really you and the car, and that's it. And that's why also I love Ned so much, because when something goes wrong, it's on Ned, and I know what's going on, and I can get to it. I can see the part, I can remove it, and put in a new one. It's a relationship between me and the Nova. But now, newer cars, it's become an ugly threesome. And I'll tell you why it's ugly. It's because there's a computer involved. It's you, a car, and a computer, and that computer is trying to push you out of the relationship which you rightfully have a place to be in. So it's a smug piece of shit that's trying to push you out. Number one, I don't like robots. If movies have taught us anything about robots, it's not to trust them. We have Terminator, all of them. We have iRobot. The only one that was adorable was Wall-E, and, left alone in a room with him, I don't think I'd be able to trust him for too long, because that little dark seed that he could possibly kill me in my sleep is always lingering. Also, I'll never own a Roomba. It's sinister and it cleans on its own. What does that? Anyway, so now when you have a computer involved in your relationship with the car, it's a middleman, essentially. And when something goes wrong on the car, it tells the computer, and the computer decides when it wants to tell you. Or if something goes wrong on the car, that really isn't an issue, that's something you could easily take some time to fix, the computer freaks out and says, no, I want you to fix this now. It's either super needy, or it's a liar, or it's deceptive. I just don't trust it. I could equate it to being something that is just my own issue with trusting technology, future technology. I also don't trust my iPhone, because that seems sinister. You can talk to it and it can hear you and it knows where you are. The Xbox, the new Xbox One, that's some kind of real demonic stuff where you can say Xbox on and it turns on by itself. I don't like that. No. Who's to say that it won't turn on by itself? Anyway, I'm getting besides the point. So for me, with computers and cars, it's become a real headache, but I can see where the positive advances have come from having computers involved in cars, because there's so many people who are negligent and don't really care or listen to their car, and they don't form that relationship. So the computer needs to be there so to remind that person of what to do and what to take care of on their car, that something's gone wrong. So I'm caught in the crosshairs, because I know there's so many people driving out there who maybe really shouldn't be driving or don't care to be driving. And to those people I say, go buy a Prius, or no, I'm sorry. Rewind. Take mass transit. Save the world a little bit that way. We got plenty of trains and buses going around, and you can find your own way. But for those of us who love the connection that we have with our car and cherish it and want to keep that going, that line of communication open and uncluttered with digital binary code, I strongly suggest looking into buying older vehicles. I have my Nova, my 78 Nova, but I also have a daily driver, which is a 96 Cavalier. I refuse to deviate from the Chevy bow tie. It's my team, it's my love, it's my family, and that's just the way she goes. The downside, though, I will say, in the difference between the 96 Cavalier and the Nova is the compact, terrible design that went into making the 96. While the 96 is great, and as much as I'm saying negative thoughts about it right now, I genuinely appreciate that car. It's a car that goes, and it gives a lot to me. A lot of pep, great steering, good brakes for the most part. I really can't complain. It's my daily driver. When I put Ned onto Classic Insurance, I needed a daily driver, so the only way to go about that was to get another one. Thus enters the Cavalier into my life. But a simple oil change on that car, you have to have an arm like a noodle to finagle it around to get down to the oil filter to remove it. And then you have to pray to God that your fingers are jacked like tiny little Arnold Schwarzeneggers, each one of them, just packing so much muscle that you're able to undo the oil filter, remove it. It's super tight. It's not great design. And I feel like a lot of the newer designs are this way because they're accommodating that third party in your relationship, the computer. I mean, threesomes can be great, and they can also have a massive amount of negative downsides to them. In the instance of cars, in my opinion, I like it to be me and the vehicle, and that's it. The simpler, the better. Keep it simple, and then you can always find the problem and solve it. Then again, that's just my opinion. I'm sure there's plenty of futuristic cars out there, and when I say futuristic, probably just like 2014s that are great, like the new Camaro Z28. So there's definitely some advances to having a computer a part of it. I'm still super hesitant though, and I think it's just because it's rooted so deeply in me not to trust technology that nothing works properly. I had a microwave for the longest time that would not pop popcorn properly. You put it in for 30 seconds and it would pop maybe 5 kernels, and every single one of those pieces of popcorn would be burned to a crisp, and then you'd have a bag full of popcorn kernels unpopped. You put it in for 5 minutes, everything would be burnt, it'd just be a shit show, possible fire. So technology has consistently been failing me all throughout my life, and that's why I appreciate the simple mechanics of a car and a driver and no third-party computer coming in to jam it up. You've been listening to Katie from Beauty's Got Muscle. Now back to the ladies of Heels on Wheels.
All right. How we have a conversation with threesomes and Priuses in the same sentence, I don't know. But we're going to move on from that because I'm not sure I want to talk about it. So this week I want to talk about the debate that's been going on for years and years and years, as far as I can remember, about are race car drivers actually athletes? And I'm pretty sure I know the opinions of all the people on this show, but, you know, some people don't have the same opinion as us. Krista, what are your first thoughts?
Well, they're more of an athlete than NBA players are these days, in my opinion. So
March Madness, you're not a fan. What?
You know what? Okay, let's be realistic, right? So, I mean, look at what Ashley said earlier. That is a prime example, and we didn't even really lead into that as much. I mean, she has to work out constantly. You hear about these professional drivers and their consistent, strict regimen of workout, whether you're pit crew or whether you're a driver. If you're in NASCAR, you're in a race car for hours, and it takes endurance to go like 200 miles an hour.
Diana says it also takes endurance not to pee your pants for that many hours.
What, they don't just have something to hook up by now? I mean, come on, technology.
Okay, so, I mean, Donovan McNabb kind of made this famous back in 2013 when he said that Jimmy Johnson was not an athlete after he won the championship that year. I totally disagree. I think race car drivers are more of an athlete than some other sports. They don't have to, not every race car driver has to be in shape to be an athlete. I think what goes into being a race car driver is more than running and lifting weights and all that kind of stuff that you do in a gym. I think it takes skill and the athletic skill, the knowledge of what you're doing. And that's being an athlete too. You know, Jimmy Johnson runs 20 plus miles a day. When he has time to do that, I don't know. But you don't have to run 20 miles a day to be an athlete. Some of these race car drivers are not in the best of shape, but that doesn't mean that their body doesn't go through the same things that NBA and NFL.
Round is a shape. Let's be realistic.
I knew somebody was going to say that. I just thought it would be Bob, our producer. But, you know, I don't know. This whole conversation just bugs me because they've done study after study, and can show you the proof that you need to say that race car drivers are athletes, but no one will still believe it. I mean, Denny Hamlin in 2012 had monitors in his car and also swallowed one to like measure all the stuff in his body. So it was 130 degrees constantly in his car. He lost 3.5 pints of sweat per hour, lost 13 pounds of water weight, and had a constant heart rate of 130. For that long, that's twice the amount of time of a marathon. So how can you say that these people are not athletes?
Okay, let's take a different stance on this too. Working out to maintain a constant posture in the car to save your neck and your back from wear and tear. You have to work on your back muscles, you know, your core. I mean, it's very important or else you're just going to break down.
Well, I think also all the G-forces that are against you, and yes, NASCAR, they're all going one way, which may be even worse than go left, go right racing. But those G-forces against your body basically give you a workout by themselves.
Sure, and you know what? Diana actually just made an interesting point over chat, since unfortunately she can't talk this week. But she says, mental stamina too. Learning how to deal with the adversity of being in a car for, how many G-forces for how long. I mean, your mind and your body learn to cope with that and to push through it.
Yeah, I mean, and also let's think about it. Okay, so if you take an NFL player and